I recorded this video because even though I'm going to explain what you have to do during this lab, I don't want you to ask me 10 times, what do you have to do when you are completing this lab? You know that the purpose of this lab is just to identify the type of crystalline solid that you have in your sample. And in order to do that, you're going to be observing three physical properties. You're going to be observing melting point, solubility, and electrical conductivity in that order. First, remember, you are going to melt 1 gram of the control and the solid that you are looking for the identification. But in order to do that, you need to use the digital balance. Remember that you have to remove the plastic cover, because if you don't remove the plastic cover, you're not going to be able to find the mass of the solid. Since you have a powder, you have to use a weighting board. Okay, but this weighting board is also a solid that has a mass. When you put that on your balance, remember that you have to remove the plastic and you have to turn that on. Make sure that here on the reading you have 0.00. If you don't have 0.00, just raise your hand and I will go to calibrate your balance. You're going to put the weighting board in there, and that solid has a mass. You can add 1 to the reading that you have over here and then add the solid until you have that final mass, or you can press 0 and the scale is going to reset to 0.00, and then you're going to measure 1 gram of the unknown solid, and then you're going to repeat the process to find the 1 gram of the control group. Okay? So first step, using the weighting board, you're going to measure 1 gram of the unknown solid, 1 gram of the control group. You are going to place, okay, these grams inside the beaker. Okay? If you look at your station, you have 2 beakers. So 1 for the control, you put the solid in there, and then you have another one for the non-solid. You're going to put it on the beaker because remember that you're going to use the beaker for the solubility test. And you're going to repeat the process. 1 gram of the non-solid, 1 gram of the control group. With the second, measurements, okay, you're gonna place them in the hot plate. In the hot plate, you're gonna turn the hot plate on, and then you're gonna wait until you see the first drop of a liquid in any of them, because remember that one of them is the control group. If you are able to see one of the solid melting, okay, you're able to see that one of the solid melted, then with the thermometer, you're gonna place that on the weighting board, okay? And then you're gonna measure the temperature. Remember that you have to remove the thermometer from the plastic container. You're gonna measure that temperature, which is the melting point of the solid that melt. If in your case both of them they melted, you're gonna find the temperature. You're gonna turn the hot plate off, and then with this thumb, you're gonna remove your 2 weighting boards, and then you're gonna put that on the black tray that you have in there. The second test is solubility, and you already have your solid in your beaker. So with the graduated cylinder, you're gonna measure your 50 milliliter of water. This is a water bottle. You're gonna measure, see, you press that hard, and then you're gonna measure 50 milliliters of water. You're gonna put that on the beaker together with the solid. And with the stirring rod, let me look at, let's see if I have one over here. With the stirring rod, you're gonna mix the solid and the liquid to see the solid dissolves in water. This is an spatula, and you're gonna use the spatula to transfer. Remember that you have to measure to measure. El mazo de solid, just to measure, see? You're gonna use this to get the solid, here to the wading boots, okay? After you're done with solubility, you have to come to my table because I have only 3 conductivity meter. You're gonna come over here to my table, and then you have these wells over here. So if the solid dissolve, you're gonna put a small quantity in one of the wells. And using the conductivity meter, you can start with low and then move to high, or you can start in high and move to low. It doesn't matter. See? You're gonna dip that there. In this case, you don't have any reading because when you have a reading, the red light over here is gonna turn on. In this case, you don't have any reading because, see, the red light didn't turn on. So when you are done with your first solution, in case that your solid dissolves in water, you're gonna clean this meter because the electrodes are gonna be contaminated. You have over here a beaker with the still water, so you're gonna dip only the electrode, not the entire thing because you're gonna break. You're gonna dip the electrodes in there, and then you're gonna clean that with the towel paper. And on the next well, you're gonna put another solution. Let's say that your solid didn't dissolve in water. So you're gonna do this with the one that dissolved in water. The one that didn't dissolve in water, you're gonna test conductivity, but in the solid state. So you're gonna have that on the waiting dish without being dissolved or without being melted. And then you're gonna repeat the process. Low, high, to see if in the solid state or non-solid, and you control, they conduct electricity. Okay? Remember that every time that you're changing the substance, you have to clean the electrodes with the distilled water and clean that and dry that with the paper towel. Remember that for today's lab, you're going to receive a lab observation grade. If you decide not to follow the lab safety rules, you're going to pay for the consequence. In each station, you have 2 pairs of gloves. That means that only 2 students are going to be able to manipulate the substance. The other 2, one is going to record the data, the other one is going to take pictures because you need at least 6 pictures for your lab report. One more time, I'm creating this video because you're going to use this video as a reference. I'm going to explain all of this during class, okay? But if you don't understand what you have to do, you can refer to this video that is going to be posted on Google Classroom.